They live in the world's most modern nation, and yet they quietly welcome families of 8, 10, sometimes more, without sirens of chaos, without public argument, without the noise of competition. To outsiders, it seems impossible. How do so many children grow up under one roof and a village remains calm? While much of the world relies on smartphones, daycare apps, and the hum of 24-hour convenience, their days follow the slow elegance of sunrise and the firm boundary of night. The clock on the wall matters less than the bell in the barn, the rattle of buggy wheels, and the whisper of weather coming across fields. They are the Amish, descendants of a 17th century Anabaptist movement that took root in German-speaking Europe and found refuge in North America. Today, their largest communities spread across Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana, with smaller settlements in more than 24 states and Canadian provinces. Their language shifts between Pennsylvania Dutch at home, High German for scripture, and English in business. Their map is not drawn by highways, but by church districts, each a circle of families tied by worship, work, and mutual aid. Their days begin before light. A mother stirs the kitchen stove, laying out bowls, eggs, and coffee. A father checks horses and the water pump. Older children lift younger ones into chairs, braid hair, button shirts, and carry milk pails to the house. The first hour belongs to chores, not screens. In season, breakfasts are heavy with the land. Fried mush, sausage, thick bread, preserved peaches opened from a row of jars that line a cellar like an amber library. School is simple and close. Most Amish children attend one-room schoolhouses through 8th grade, taught by a young unmarried woman from the community. The curriculum is practical: reading, arithmetic, penmanship, geography, American history, and, woven throughout, the discipline of attention. There are no school buses screaming across town, no standardized tests measured in nervous silence. Children walk or ride in a carriage. They carry lunch pails and come home to chores that are not symbolic but necessary. Adults work by hand and by team. Some still farm with draft horses, cutting hay in rectangles that leave neat geometry across a valley. Many run small shops: carpentry, cabinetry, quilting, harness making, construction crews renowned for speed and quiet coordination. Technology is not rejected outright, but subjected to the Ordnung, an unwritten code agreed upon within each district. Does a tool speed the work without fostering pride? Does it bind a family together or invite people apart? Each decision passes through these gates. Clothing is plain: dark dresses and aprons for women, broad fall trousers, suspenders, and straight-cut coats for men. Buttons are simple or replaced by hooks. Beards appear after marriage. Mustaches do not. Bright fashion would emphasize the individual. The plain emphasizes the group. Worship takes place in homes, not in ornate buildings. Every other Sunday, benches arrive on a wagon and become the sanctuary. Hymns are slow and unaccompanied, stretching across minutes like a river glide. Sermons dwell on humility, obedience, forgiveness, and non-resistance, the conviction that Christians should not bear arms nor retaliate when wronged. After worship, a meal is shared, and children stream outdoors, absorbing the tone of adults who linger in soft conversation. At the center of this way of life is the family. Marriage is expected, public and permanent. The church marries young adults in late autumn when fieldwork is over and winter is settling in. Newlyweds often live for a time in a dowdy house, an in-law apartment attached to a farmhouse, or in a modest place nearby, surrounded by kin and watchful neighbors. Children arrive often. The average household is large by modern standards. This is not an accident of poor planning. It is a chosen posture toward life. Here emerges the wow factor, the feature that outsiders most misunderstand. The community grows not by recruiting strangers, but by raising its own. A church district rarely exceeds a comfortable size. When the bench wagon can no longer carry enough seating and the meal stretches resources thin, a planned fission occurs. The district divides into two, and leaders are selected by lot in a prayerful, humble ceremony. In this way, peace is not maintained by sheer willpower, but by architecture, social architecture that scales with children. Why so many children? Faith is the first answer. The Amish read the early chapters of Genesis as a blessing upon marriage and harvest alike. Children are considered gifts from God, signs of trust, not burdens to be optimized. They do not commonly use modern birth control. In a culture that prizes humility, there is no boasting over family size. There is simply gratitude and duty. History is the second answer. Their ancestors fled persecution, prisons, fines, and exile for rebaptizing adults and refusing military service. In that fragile wilderness, family and faith communities were the only safety net. To this day, the Amish rely on mutual aid funds instead of commercial insurance. When a barn burns, neighbors raise a new one by sundown's echo. When a child is ill, the district shares costs. More children do not dilute the support system, they thicken it. Economics is the third answer, though it is economics of a different kind. On a small farm or in a family business, there is always meaningful work. A 10-year-old holding a lantern in pre-dawn is not a symbol of hardship, but of belonging. Work is scaled down so that children can scale up. Tasks are taught, repeated, and trusted. This does not romanticize fatigue or deny the effort. It anchors identity and contribution rather than consumption. There is also rhythm, the way time is folded, without a television. At the center of the room or a phone in every hand, evenings turn outward. Games are simple. Quilts take shape. Stories are told of grandparents and of how the horse team learned the road after a snowstorm. In such a setting, another child is not an interruption. Another child is another listener, another helper, another future. None of this would hold without the discipline of peace. The Amish do not confuse quiet with silence. There is conversation, even debate, but it is channeled through practices that keep tempers from ruling. Leaders are chosen not by campaign, but by lot, a deliberate disarming of ambition. Conflicts are handled face-to-face, with mediators who quote scripture and memory rather than law. When a member breaks covenant and refuses correction, the church may apply shunning, table fellowship withheld, business limited, always with the door open to return. The practice is stern, but it exists to protect a fragile good, communal trust. The physical world enforces patience. A horse cannot be hurried beyond its stride. A lantern will not burn brighter because someone demands it. The pace of tools presses down the volume of human argument. A saw sings one note. A plane whispers cedar curls. Without loud machines or digital alerts, the family's voices fill the space at human scale, and children learn the etiquette that matches it. Education supports peace in subtle ways. The one-room schoolhouse places first graders beside eighth graders. Younger ones watch older ones diagram sentences and extract square roots. Older ones fetch water, carry coal, and learn that leadership looks like service. A child who has rocked a baby during recess has practiced the patience needed for a large household. The school day and the church day agree. Ability is good, cooperation is better. Courtship and youth gatherings add their own structure. On Sunday evenings not devoted to church, teenagers meet for singing. They arrive in carriages, share food, and sing from hymn books.
We gather together in His loving grace, seeking His wisdom.
The setting is supervised yet free, public yet intimate. Marriage grows from shared songs and shared work rather than from constant private messaging. When two marry, they inherit each other's extended kin, and with it, the expectation that peace will be kept. Even the layout of a homestead is tuned to harmony. A long table encourages everyone to face one another. The kitchen is large because meals are the community's daily ceremony. A dowdy house allows aging grandparents to remain close, passing on stories, recipes, and a steadying presence. Across seasons, this intergenerational arrangement diffuses stress. A parent running late with chores can count on an older sibling to watch toddlers, or on a grandmother to mind the oven. The load is heavy, but it is shared across many hands and ages. There is, of course, hardship. Illness comes. Accidents happen. Crops fail. Winters press their thumb onto the scale of morale. But even suffering is organized. When a storm flattens a field, neighbors arrive to help bind sheaves. When a mother is confined to bed, meals travel across gravel lanes like a river of casseroles and pies. Children witness this choreography and internalize a rule. In hard times, we move toward one another, not away. The Ordnung anchors all of this. It is not a printed law book, it is a living memory of what the community has found keeps them close to God and each other. It names which technologies are allowed. In one district, telephones stay in community shacks at the end of the lane, available for business but not for domination of the home. In another, tractors may be used in the field but not for personal transportation. The details differ, but the principle holds. A tool is welcome if it strengthens bonds and humility, and suspect if it magnifies independence and pride. This restraint on tools becomes a release valve for behavior. Without the accelerators of modern communication, disagreements do not metastasize in minutes. Rumors do not go viral by midnight. The absence of 1,000 options reduces friction over tiny choices. When the family sits to eat, no one argues over what show to stream. There is no show. Conversation has room to breathe. Children hear family history, church history, and moral parables told in everyday language. A peaceful memory palace is constructed brick by brick. The food itself plays a role. Home canned tomatoes, crock-pickled cabbage, smoked meats, and loaves rising on the counter imply planning, patience, and teamwork. A meal is a daily lesson that the work of many becomes the nourishment of all. The table is a ledger of gratitude. Children absorb this without a lecture. What then looks like a paradox, so many children, and still peace, is simply the fruit of coherent choices. Faith blesses large families. History explains their caution. Mutual aid replaces the loneliness that overwhelms many modern households. Work is meaningful and shared. Education reinforces care of the younger by the older. Leadership methods mute ambition. Tools are chosen to fit people, not the reverse. And when growth strains the seams, the church district divides with dignity, preserving intimacy rather than clinging to scale. It is not a museum. Change happens, but slowly, with scrutiny. New livelihoods arise. Greenhouses glowing in spring nights, furniture shops sending tables to far-off cities, construction crews framing roofs on houses whose owners will never meet the hands that raised them. The Amish negotiate these edges carefully, asking again whether prosperity will serve the family or swallow it. The overriding aim remains unchanged: humility before God, peace with neighbor, and a home where children can hear the quiet. Viewers may wonder whether such a world is possible beyond Amish lanes. The answer is less about horse-drawn carriages and more about deliberate limits. What if a family chose a weekly meal without devices? What if neighbors agreed to share tools and time, so a problem in one house became everyone's errand? What if a community split its gatherings before they grew unwieldy, so voices could remain gentle and faces familiar? The Amish do these things not to reject the world, but to keep a promise to one another. The moral question lingers. In a fast century, what do we owe to children, our own and everyone else's? The Amish answer by building a life that expects their presence, values their hands, and shapes their hearts. They do not solve every problem, nor do they claim perfection, but they model a truth that modern life often forgets. Peace is not an accident. It is an arrangement. It is the sum of 1,000 small decisions made together over time. And so the sound that rises over an Amish valley at dusk is not the clatter of urgency, but the layered melody of a working household. Hens settling, wagon wheels clicking past the lane, a hymn drifting from a doorway, a mother lifting a sleepy child, a father banking the stove. The day closes on a table where there are many seats, many stories, many names spoken in gratitude. The candles are snuffed. The quiet is full, not empty. If you want to uncover more hidden communities and astonishing traditions, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video.